In America today, millions of people are waking up every morning already stressed about money before their feet even touch the floor. Not because they're unemployed, not because they're lazy, not because they made one terrible mistake, but because modern American life quietly became too expensive to survive comfortably. And the scary part is, many of these people actually make decent money, $60,000, $85,000, even over $100,000 a year. Yet somehow every month still feels like survival. Bills arrive faster than peace. Paychecks disappear faster than hope. And behind closed doors, millions of Americans secretly live with one terrifying fear. What happens if my next paycheck doesn't come? This Noah Investor Mind. Today, I'm going to explain the real truth about living paycheck to paycheck in America. Not the fake motivational version, not the internet fantasy. The real reality Americans experience every single day. Why middle-class families feel financially trapped, why salaries no longer feel enough, why stress keeps increasing, and what this lifestyle slowly does to people emotionally, mentally, and financially over time. Because this isn't just a money problem anymore, we know. It's becoming a psychological crisis across America. For years, Americans were taught a simple belief: study hard, get a job, work full-time, and eventually life becomes stable. That dream worked for many people decades ago, but today, the system feels completely different. Housing exploded, groceries became expensive, healthcare costs became terrifying, insurance costs climbed constantly, college debt followed people for decades, and suddenly even normal middle-class life started feeling financially heavy. That's the part many outsiders don't fully understand about America. A person can look financially successful while privately struggling every single month. Nice apartment, clean clothes, modern car, weekend shopping, everything appears normal. But underneath that appearance, constant financial pressure. And the pressure never fully stops. One of the biggest lies modern culture created is this idea that financial struggle that always looks poor. But in America today, financial struggle often looks completely normal. A man driving a new SUV may still panic before payday. A woman with a luxury apartment may secretly carry massive credit card debt. A family posting vacation photos online may still have almost no savings. That's why paycheck to paycheck living became so dangerous. It hides itself. People continue performing stability publicly while collapsing privately. And eventually, that emotional pressure changes people completely. The average American worker today lives inside a non-stop financial cycle. Wake up, work, pay bills, wait for next paycheck, repeat, month after month, year after year. And over time, many people stop feeling like they're building a future. They feel like they're simply maintaining survival. That emotional difference matters more than most people realize, because humans need progress emotionally, hope emotionally, breathing room emotionally. Without that, life slowly starts feeling heavier. And here's what makes this situation even worse. Most Americans never plan to live this way. Nobody grows up dreaming about surviving paycheck to paycheck forever. People imagine stability, peace, a comfortable home, freedom, retirement. But modern financial pressure quietly destroys long-term planning. A person who constantly worries about immediate bills struggles to think about the future clearly. That's why millions of Americans delay investing, delay saving, delay retirement planning. Because survival mode always focuses on right now. And survival mode slowly becomes addictive psychologically. People become so used to stress that financial anxiety starts feeling normal. Checking bank accounts nervously becomes normal. Calculating bills constantly becomes normal. Feeling fear before opening emails becomes normal. But deep down, that stress damages people emotionally over time. The modern American economy created a strange reality. People earn more money than previous generations in many cases, yet still feel financially weaker. Why? Because lifestyle costs increase faster than emotional security. Years ago, a single income could often support a household comfortably. Today, many dual-income families still feel pressure constantly. That creates frustration, especially for middle-class Americans who believe they were doing everything right, working hard, paying taxes, following the system, yet still struggling financially. That emotional confusion creates resentment and exhaustion because people start asking themselves, if I'm doing everything right, why does life still feel this hard? One of the biggest hidden causes of paycheck to paycheck living is lifestyle inflation. And this problem quietly destroys millions of Americans financially. Lifestyle inflation happens when income increases, but expenses increase equally or even faster. Someone gets a raise, then upgrades apartments, upgrades cars, spends more online, travels more, adds subscriptions, improves lifestyle constantly. And eventually, despite earning far more money, they still feel broke. This happens constantly in America. People don't notice because each upgrade feels small individually. But over time, those upgrades quietly remove financial breathing room completely. And breathing room is what creates peace, not income alone. A major problem in modern American culture is that people are constantly surrounded by pressure to appear successful. Social media made this dramatically worse. Every day, people see luxury lifestyles online, expensive homes, designer clothing, perfect vacations, luxury cars, beautiful kitchens, perfect families, and slowly comparison begins affecting financial behavior subconsciously. People feel behind, even when they were doing okay financially. That emotional pressure causes enormous amounts of unnecessary spending because people often spend emotionally, not logically. And the most dangerous purchases are usually not made from logic. They're made from emotion. A stressful week becomes online shopping. Feeling insecure becomes upgrading appearance. Feeling behind becomes financing luxury. Feeling unhappy becomes spending. Companies understand this psychology perfectly. Modern advertising rarely sells products anymore. It sells emotions, confidence, success, identity, belonging. People are constantly told, "You deserve this. Upgrade your life. Don't settle." But almost nobody talks honestly about the long-term financial cost of constantly upgrading lifestyle. That's why many Americans slowly become trapped inside lives that are too expensive to maintain comfortably. And once that happens, fear quietly enters everyday life. Fear changes human behavior dramatically. People become afraid of emergencies, afraid of layoffs, afraid of medical bills, afraid of unexpected repairs, afraid of economic downturns, because paycheck to paycheck living creates fragility. Everything depends on income continuing perfectly. One disruption can suddenly collapse the entire structure. That's why even financially normal Americans often feel emotionally unstable internally. Their lifestyle may look stable externally, but privately it depends on every paycheck arriving on time. America also normalized debt to an extreme level. Financing became attached to almost everything: phones, furniture, electronics, cars, vacations, even food through payment apps. People are encouraged constantly to consume first and worry later. But later always arrives eventually. And when it does, monthly obligations become emotionally exhausting. The dangerous part is that many Americans don't feel trapped immediately. The trap builds slowly: one payment here, one subscription there, one financing plan, one credit card balance, one upgrade. And eventually people realize most of their income already belongs to future payments before they even receive it. That realization creates enormous emotional stress. One reason this crisis spreads so widely is because modern society rewards visible success. People feel pressure to look successful, and appearances became expensive. Luxury apartments signal success, expensive cars signal success, designer brands signal success. But often these appearances hide financial instability. Meanwhile, many financially disciplined people actually look ordinary externally, and that confuses people psychologically, because modern culture often teaches Americans to admire appearance instead of stability. But financially stable people usually think completely differently about money. Average consumers ask, "Can I afford the monthly payment?" Financially smart people ask, "How much freedom will this cost me?" That single mindset difference changes everything, because every recurring expense reduces flexibility, and flexibility creates security. A person with savings sleeps differently. A person without debt thinks differently. A person with financial breathing room handles emergencies differently. That's why real financial stability feels emotional, not just mathematical. Peace matters, and millions of Americans quietly lost that peace. Another hidden truth about paycheck to paycheck living is this: high income alone does not automatically solve financial stress. That idea shocks many people, but it's true. Without discipline, awareness, and controlled spending habits, higher income often simply creates larger obligations, bigger mortgages, higher insurance costs, luxury lifestyles, private schools, expensive vacations, and eventually people earning six figures may still feel financially trapped. That's why some Americans secretly feel exhausted despite making salaries that once sounded rich, because income increased, but peace didn't. Many middle-class Americans today live with constant mental pressure they rarely talk about openly. Pressure to provide, pressure to maintain appearances, pressure to keep up socially, pressure to avoid failure, pressure to survive inflation, pressure to prepare for retirement. And over time, this nonstop pressure slowly damages mental health. People become emotionally tired, not physically, emotionally, because carrying financial anxiety every day changes how people experience life itself. A huge problem is that many Americans no longer feel financially rewarded for hard work. They work longer hours, take overtime, push themselves harder, yet still struggle to save money consistently. That emotional imbalance creates frustration because effort and outcome no longer feel connected. And when people stop feeling progress emotionally, motivation starts weakening. But the people who eventually escape paycheck to paycheck living usually realize one powerful truth first. Nobody is coming to rescue their financial future. Not the government, not employers, not credit cards, not lifestyle upgrades. That realization changes behavior completely. People stop spending emotionally, stop trying to impress strangers, stop financing unnecessary lifestyles, and slowly begin focusing on stability instead of appearance. Because true financial freedom rarely looks flashy. It often looks simple. Controlled spending, emergency savings, low debt, long-term thinking, patience, discipline. These things rarely go viral online, but they quietly create peace over time. And peace is becoming one of the rarest things in modern America. And maybe the darkest part about living paycheck to paycheck in America is this. Most people don't realize how stressed they truly are until their body starts reacting to it. Sleepless nights, constant overthinking, short tempers, relationship problems, mental exhaustion, anxiety every time the phone rings unexpectedly, fear whenever a strange email arrives. That's what financial pressure slowly becomes. Not just numbers, a psychological burden. And millions of Americans carry that burden silently every single day. The scary part is that many people continue functioning normally while emotionally collapsing internally. They still go to work, still smile publicly, still post online, still act fine, but internally they feel trapped. That emotional disconnect is becoming extremely common across America, especially among middle-class workers. For many Americans, the paycheck itself stopped feeling rewarding. It now feels temporary. The money arrives and immediately disappears into obligations. Rent, mortgage, insurance, groceries, debt payments, utilities, gas, healthcare, subscriptions, childcare, taxes. And suddenly the paycheck is gone before life even begins. That cycle repeats so consistently that many people stop feeling financially alive. They start feeling financially managed. And there's a huge emotional difference between those two feelings. One feels like freedom, the other feels like survival. America today also created a dangerous culture of convenience. Everything is designed to make spending easier. Food delivery apps, one-click shopping, instant financing, subscription services, buy now, pay later systems. People barely feel money leaving anymore. And when spending becomes invisible, psychologically, overspending increases dramatically. Years ago, physically handing over cash created emotional awareness. Today, people swipe cards or tap phones without emotionally processing the cost fully. That disconnect quietly destroys financial discipline, especially when stress levels are already high.